All right, everyone, welcome to the Tonto's Demise Week 6 recap. I keep forgetting what week it is. The season's flying by. Let's see what happened this week. We had some interesting matchups on paper. Unfortunately, they did not pan out to be as interesting as we'd hoped that they would be. Some of the good teams going up against each other this week, and we had a lot of blowouts. Every game was decided before Monday night, and there wasn't really any drama in terms of who was going to win, who was going to lose this week. After Sunday, it was for most teams it was over pretty quickly here. So, yeah, let's just get right down to it. First matchup, defending champion Springfield Isotopes in a good matchup against the Bad Luck Bears, who had been rolling with a couple of 200-point scores in a row himself. This was going to be a good matchup. I think Bad Luck Bears lost last week, and we're looking to bounce back and give the Isotopes their first defeat. Unfortunately, for Bad Luck Bears, he has kind of hit the skids last couple weeks, and he falls this week. The final score here ended up being Isotopes 250 to Bad Luck Bears 164. Both of them zeros for the fractions there. For the Isotopes, we had Mahomes with, he actually had 2 long touchdown bonuses, so his actual score was 60.5. AJ Green, Tyreek Hill, and Mike Williams. AJ Green, 15.5. Tyreek Hill, 3 touchdowns, one of them a long one. He actually had 42.2 with his long touchdown there. Mike Williams, unfortunately, only 2.5. Running backs, James White and TJ Yeldon, 14.2 and 10 for Yeldon. I keep trying to remember, I know it's still kind of making me laugh because whenever I drafted TJ Yeldon, I did not feel good about it. Because I know that in the past I have relentlessly mocked TJ Yeldon for being a garbage player who shows up once a year. And I know that Bigler said something about him, how, like, basically good luck with that, or if anyone can, I don't know what he said. If anyone can get, if this will be the year that he actually has some value. Whenever I had him. And he's turned out to be a pretty consistent starter every week, point-wise, thanks to Leonard Fournette being injured, which that was kind of my motivation for drafting him because they were saying that Yeldon looked like he was in pretty good shape this year. And watching Fournette last year, the guy he seems like he can't stay healthy to me. He was always somehow spraining his ankle and just kept my gut instinct was that the guy can't stay healthy, and it would be wise to pick up TJ Yeldon. Here we are today. Kind of that's the way it's panned out these first few weeks. I don't think Josh has gotten any use out of Fournette. Maybe other than week 1 before he got injured. I don't know I can't remember if he plugged him back in. I think he did before he re-injured the week he tried to come back and then re-injured himself. But anyway, enough about TJ Yeldon. If Disco can remember what he said at the draft, I can't. I know whenever I drafted Yeldon, then he made a comment about it. But again, I can't remember exactly what it was. But hopefully he can refresh my memory there. Tight end Austin Hooper, just over 22. Todd Gurley, the most rushing yards of Todd Gurley's career, 208 this week, 2 more touchdowns. Denver defense got gashed by Isaiah Crowell last week for over 200 yards, and then Todd Gurley comes in and gets 200 for himself. Mason Crosby, 15. Actually, I think it was Yahoo says 15. I think it was actually like 16 or 17. And then Jets defense, Yahoo says 18. I believe the total was 21 or 24, something, I think 24. Excuse me. But anyway, definitely enough to get past Bad Luck Bears this week. One of the highest scores of the week, of the year. But we'll get, not of the week, or the year. We'll get to that shortly here. But I just want to, and I will discuss this again when it comes back to the other matchup that I want to talk about. Since the Isotopes did score 250 points this week, had we played Albert Wilson, who was really, with the Saints being on bye, had Doug Baldwin was a possibility, probably wasn't going to start Wilson anyway, regardless of, there was no reason to start him, Albert Wilson here, so, but if I had, I would have broken Jimmy's single week record, the 275, because Albert Wilson scored 39, which would have been 36 points more than Mike Williams scored. And if you add 36 to my 250, that's 286. So that could have been. So, Jimmy, be glad you've got, for one thing, that still stands for you, your single week record, although it definitely got got a little frightened there this week for you. It got tested. For Bad Luck Bears, Matt Ryan, 65. Receivers, Cooks, Jordy Nelson, Mike Evans, 7, 2.5, and just under 10 in that order. James Conner, 32 points. Ito Smith, picked him up, plugged him in since Devontae Freeman was out, and now he's, I see, on IR. So that'll be might be a good play for you here for the next couple of weeks. Not sure when the Falcons' bye week is, but that should help you out. He got you 10.10. Jimmy Graham, 15.5. Shepard in the flex again, 6.5. Vinatieri, your kicker, got you about 10 or so. And then the Chicago defense fell apart against the Miami Dolphins. Previously mentioned Albert Wilson there. Yahoo says 9, and I believe they had 3 turnovers, but they gave up too many points, too many first downs, too many rushing yards, too many passing yards. So none of the other bonuses applied, and you lost 3 because they lost the game. So your actual score was only 6. So you only had 65 from Matt Ryan, 32 from Connor, and other than Jimmy said 15 from Graham, but other than that, we got a lot of single-digit scores here. It seems like I say it every week, but that is not going to get it done. And the Bad Luck Bears, like I said, kind of hit the skids along with Mighty Midgets. We'll get to that shortly. They dropped down to 3-3. Kind of reeling here. Hopefully Bad Luck Bears, for his sake, can turn things around the next couple of weeks. But the Isotopes remain undefeated at 6-0. They are in first place. While again, Bad Luck Bears dropped to 3-3. They are in 6th place. All right, what's next? We had the Dub C Hooligans going up against the White Wolf. The White Wolf. Just feel bad for you, buddy. I don't know what to say about this matchup because pretty much anything that could go wrong this season for the White Wolf has gone wrong. And Dub C, despite only a score of 144.65, is able to take this one down quite easily because the White Wolf was only able to muster 107 points this week. First, let's take a look at Dub C Hooligans. Went with Jared Goff, who I know we said that he's a every week play, matchup proof. But when you also have Andrew Luck, who is they have no defense. They have no running game. They're in shootouts every single week. Although, actually, Luck's score wasn't that crazy this week. It's a tough call. Not a decision that I would want to have to make every week. But fortunately for Dub C, it didn't hurt you this week, as Goff went for 22.5. Receivers, Lockett, Sanu, and John Brown, 11, 12.5, and 4.8 respectively. Running backs, Mixon and McCoy, 18.5, 12.5. Ertz, 17.3. You flexed Demaryius Thomas. He got you a touchdown, about 14.5 points there. Justin Tucker, only 3 extra points, no field goals there, so 3. And your Minnesota defense did pretty good. Yahoo says 16. It was probably closer to somewhere in the mid-20s, would be my guess. But it was enough to get past. It's now Juju and the losers. The White Wolf this week, who had no Matthew Stafford or Michael Thomas. They were on bye, so you had to go with Case Keenum, who actually got you 50 points there. Juju Smith, Schuster, just over 20. But then things start to get bad from here. As Cooper Kupp, he got injured after getting you 1 point. Quincy Enunwa, I believe his only catch, it looks like, he lost a fumble on. So he actually ended up scoring you negative -0.1. And I believe he was injured on that only reception where he lost a fumble. I think he have a high ankle sprain, and I think Cooper Kupp has an MCL sprain. So those two guys went down, combined for 1 point there for you. Marshawn Lynch, I see he's questionable. Not sure what happened to him, if it was during the game or not, but he only managed to get you 9 points. Had to put in Royce Freeman. He only got you 2.5. Tight end Njoku got you actually 18.5. Looks like he might be I think we all thought that it was going to be Jarvis Landry who was going to really take off after the quarterback switch to Mayfield there, but maybe it's actually going to end up being Njoku here. We'll have to wait and see. And then Amari Cooper took a huge hit and was knocked out of that game into the concussion protocol before he scored you a point. So between Cooper Kupp, Quincy Enunwa, and Amari Cooper, those 3 guys combined to get you 1.1. That's not saying it because as I like to rub it in, but the facts are the facts. It's terrible, and I feel bad for you. Boswell got you about 6 or 7, and then you went with the Bengals defense. Not sure what your other alternative was there. Redskins. They actually did okay. Not sure don't think it would have been enough to get you a victory here. But the Bengals defense got 0 according to Yahoo. And I do believe that it might have actually been, the actual score might have been 0. So pretty much anything that could have gone wrong did go wrong this week, this season for the White Wolf. He drops to 0-6. He is in 12th place. Dub C Hooligans, he moves up to 3-3, right behind the Bad Luck Bears in 7th place. All right, next up, we had another matchup that we thought was going to be great going into the week here, but ended up not really being close at all. It was Disco versus Mighty Midgets, and Disco continues his winning ways. He knocks off Mighty Midgets, who, like I said, has kind of hit the skids into from 3-1 to 3-3 now. He is in the kind of slipped into being muddled in the middle there. Disco gets the win, 225.15 to 176.75 for the Midgets. Disco went with Jameis Winston this week. He was the right play. He got you 66. Receivers, Beckham Jr., Diggs, and Corey Davis. Beckham only 10.5, Diggs only 7, and Davis only 3.5. So only about 21 points there from your 3 receivers. But you have been benefiting greatly from the trade that you made for Melvin Gordon, who has been one of the top scoring. He's probably top 3, I would guess, for running backs this year so far. In terms of running backs, he went for another 38 points and 3 touchdowns this week. Let me see if I can find his total here real quick for the season. Let's see. I don't feel like it. But again, I said he got you 38 points. Tevin Coleman got you 11. Devontae Freeman's down again. So it looks like Coleman might be making his way back into your every week lineup. Jordan Reed, 8.5. Ridley in your flex, 7.5. Gostowski, actually, let's see, he got you about 22, I think, once you tack on all of the fraction points for the kickers there. And then Baltimore Ravens defense tied a franchise record, I believe, with 11 sacks, did not give up a single point. I think Marcus Mariota he was sacked more times than he threw, and he had completed passes in this game. And I think I wrote it down here. Yahoo says 26, but I believe the Baltimore D, their actual score this week was 50. So 65, 50, 38, that's going to should get you over 200 every week. Unfortunately, that's what happened here for Disco versus the Midgets. Even though, let's take a look at his lineup. Roethlisberger, just over 60. Adam Thielen, just under 30. Sammy Watkins, only 3.5. Chris Godwin, 17.5. No Kamara this week, so you had to play Chris Carson. He got you 6. Zeke got you 21.5. Your tight end, Cook from the Raiders, they were terrible this week. He only got you 3 points, and you flexed Kiki Kuti from the Houston Texans there. He only got you 6.5. Let's see, probably would have liked to play, in hindsight, Alex Collins this week. He didn't do too much on the ground, but he did get 2 touchdowns. And other than that, your lineup, really not much else you could have done with your lineup there. Parkey, your kicker, he got you, looks like he missed a long field goal. He only got you 3. And the Chargers defense did pretty good against Cleveland. Yahoo says 17. It was probably, again, closer to like mid-20s, something like that. But not enough, as Disco put up a big score, 225. He moves up to 5-1, although he is in 3rd place. While Mighty Midgets, like I said, he drops to 3-3. He is actually right above Bad Luck Bears, and he is in 5th place. Then we've got From Gags to Riches versus FC Bohoric. And this is the matchup that I was kind of talking a little bit about before. This one was an absolute blowout, I think pretty much from the beginning. Nearly 100 points was the margin of victory here for From Gags to Riches over FC Bohoric. Final score 251.65 to 159.55. So, like I said, the Isotopes thought that they were going to set the new season's high point total there until Gags to Riches came up with 35 points from Devontae Adams there, and Robbie Gould kicking a bunch of field goals, and he was able to squeak by the 250. It's just ridiculous scores. The 250 that the Isotopes put up, and squeaks by with that 1.65, and now he has the distinction of the highest point total thus far of 2018. And I should mention again that this was all on top of Gags having Dante Moncrief, was a wide receiver, in his starting lineup, who actually scored 0. I think you picked him up and plugged him in there. If you had actually gone with one of your guys who was already on your bench, Tyrell Williams, he actually got 27. So if you add 27 to your 251, that would have been 276, and you would have squeaked by and knocked off Jimmy for his single week record in terms of points scored. So, Jimmy, it could have been done this week, but it wasn't. So, we'll see what happens in the future weeks ahead. So, that's one consolation to hold on to, that you've got that. But anyway, let's get on to this matchup, which was pretty disappointing all around for FC Bohoric. Let's see. Gags to Riches. Cousins, 43. Devontae Adams, 35. Alshon Jeffrey, 27.5. And then Moncrief, his 0. But then we had Saquon Barkley with 41 on Thursday night. Latavius Murray, just under 26. Good game for him. Travis Kelce, 11. You put Snead in the flex. I think you picked him up and played him too. Don't think he was on your. Not sure if he was on your team before or not. I can't remember. But anyway, you put him in the flex. He got you 13. Robbie Gould got you about. Yeah, he says 15. I think the actual total was 16.5, something like that. Let me see if I wrote anything else down here. No. I thought maybe I wrote the Seattle defense score down. Yahoo says 21, but I think it was actually somewhere in the 30s, low to mid 30s, if I remember correctly. So pretty good scores. Well, the best scores all up and down the lineup that we've had all season. Like I said, Gags to Riches setting the new precedent for 2018 with his 251.65. As for FC Bohoric, Andy Dalton, 45.5. Keenan Allen, 14. Keelan Cole, 6. Ryan Grant, 4.5. Kareem Hunt, he had a long touchdown as well. Long touchdown reception there. He actually got you 32.5. Bilal Powell, 6 points. Gronk, 12.5. Adrian Peterson in the flex, 9.5. Bailey, and your kicker, he got you about 10 or 11. And then the Rams defense, Yahoo says 11. I believe it was probably, I think they gave up a lot of yards, but it was probably around 20, if I remember correctly. It was, I think 18, maybe 21, something like that. Well, maybe 17 or 20. But not enough to get past Gags to Riches, who explodes this week. He jumps up to second place ahead of Disco. He is 5-1. And as for FC Bohoric, he drops to 1-5, and he is in 11th place. All right, another matchup was the Cobras going against each other. Hillbillies on PCP versus Shawshank Athletics. This one had a chance on Monday night, but it was pretty much over. Although Aaron Rodgers did make the final score pretty respectable here. Unfortunately for Shawshank, it was not enough, as Hillbillies gets the win, 174.6 to 155.25. Let's see, Hillbillies, Tom Brady, 52, and AB, 21.5. Josh Gordon, just over 9. Crabtree, 21. David Johnson, 13. McCaffrey, 13.5. Ebron, 17. Jordan Howard in the flex, only 5 points from him. Not sure what's going on there. He's been kind of surprisingly disappointing the past couple of weeks. Butker, your kicker, he kicked a bunch of field goals, bunch of PATs. Yahoo says 17. It was probably closer to 18, 18.5. And then you went with the Cleveland Browns defense, based on a dream, I think, was what I think I read. Yahoo says 4, and I actually believe that, I think I commented about this already, that the actual scores for this matchup on Yahoo were correct. The Cleveland Browns defense this week, not head-to-head, the Cleveland Browns defense defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars defense 4-3. Just let that sink in for a minute there. So, yeah, about 175 there for Hillbillies, enough to get past Shawshank this week. I said Aaron Rodgers made it respectable. He got you almost 63. Robert Woods, Funchess, and Allen Robinson, 19, 18.5, and 17.5 respectively. Excuse me. Crowell, 7. Smallwood, 6. Cameron Brate, 8.5. He looks like he only caught one pass, but it was a touchdown. I think you also have O.J. Howard, so kind of going back and forth between the two guys there. Which one to start? I think Howard would have been the better play this week because he kind of doubled up what Brate did, although said it wouldn't have affected the outcome here. And you've got a lot of the Tampa Bay receivers here. I see with Deshaun Jackson, O.J. Howard, and Cameron Brate. Flex, you went with Buck Allen. He got you 5. Kicker, Fairbairn, for the Houston Texans. He got you about 7 or 8. And again, Jacksonville defense got crushed by the Cowboys. Their actual score was 3. So let's take a quick look at Shawshank's bench. See if there's anything different he could have done. I don't think so. Nope, doesn't look like it based on your bench players and your bye week stuff. So other than maybe switching Brate and Howard, don't really think that there was much that you could have done. You pretty much had your best lineup in there, but not enough to squeak past Hillbillies this week. You would basically came down to that Jacksonville Jaguars defense letting you down this week. But you're still in okay position there. You're also among the 3-3s there, Shawshank. Although you are in 8th place, said you're in a tie there with a whole bunch of other teams there. And Hillbillies on PCP with this win, he moves up to 4-2, and he is in 4th place. And the final matchup was Battle of the 1-4s. Someone was going to end up 1-5 this week. And unfortunately for Possum Magic, Space Antelope gets the win. He moves up to 2-4. The final score, 154.85 to 127.15. Let's see. For Space Antelope, Phillip Rivers. That was a disappointing quarterback matchup in this one here, as Rivers goes for 26. Looks like Deshaun Watson only went for 20. Julio Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald, 24, 17, and 9, respectively. Running backs, Lindsay and Sony Michel, 12.5 and 25.5. Kittle, 7. I think at Chester Rogers in your flex. Picked him up and played him. Ended up being a decent move. He got you 15.5 points there. Kicker, Elliott from the Eagles, 9 points, probably closer to 10. And then you picked up and played the Colts defense, hoping for the Jets to commit a lot of turnovers, I guess. They did get 2. Yahoo says 8, but they gave up a ton of points, ton of yards. It was pretty much a shootout because you didn't trust the Patriots against the Chiefs defense, which probably I wouldn't have trusted them either. Not sure what the point differential was there, but you would have gotten the +3 for the win if you had just gone with New England. Yahoo says 8 for the Colts, and it was probably right around there because I believe the Jets did pretty well on offense there. But it was enough to get past Possum Magic this week. Like I said, Deshaun Watson, he only got 20. Emmanuel Sanders, 24.5. One of your wide receivers outscores your quarterback. That's never good. Jarvis Landry, mentioned him before. Really thought he was gonna be the man once Mayfield took over. He looked great. The game where Mayfield came in second half, but he's been a surprise disappointment here. He only got you 3 points. Julian Edelman comes back. He got you 16. He had a couple catches and a touchdown. Your running backs, Carlos Hyde and Hines. Hyde only 3.5. Hines, one of the guys he traded Antonio Brown for, he only got you 5.5. And I think Marlon Mack came back this week, and it looks like they might be plugging him back in as the starter. So we'll have to see what happens there. With Hines, might not be the rest of his season might not be as the potential might not be as bright as it was a couple weeks ago. But let's see. Almost said Tim Burton, but it's Trey Burton. Just over 12 from him. Tyler Boyd in your flex, again worth the money you spent on him. Over 25 points this week, 2 touchdowns there. Your kicker, Bullock from Cincinnati, only 3 PATs, no field goals. And then you went with the Packers defense over, against San Francisco. Yahoo says 11, I believe the total. It was right around there. Maybe it was 14 or 17, something like that. But not enough to get past Space Antelope this week, who knocks Possum down to 10th place. He is 1-5, while Space Antelope kind of cragging his way through the season, perhaps. We were 0-3. He is sneaking back up to the standings there. Now 2-4. He is in 9th place. So I believe those are all the matchups for week 6. The knockout this week was Jimmy, who was holding on there for a few weeks there, but this week kind of like the straw that broke the horse's back there. So in terms of injuries there, just all over the map. It won't stop here for the White Wolf. So he is out, which means the teams left in the knockout pool, as we are, we're not halfway through the season, but we are pretty much, next week we'll be halfway. You can't be halfway to 13. So I guess after the Thursday night game, technically then maybe we're at the halfway point. But let's see, who is still alive in a knockout pool? Isotopes, Bad Luck Bears, Dubsy Hooligans, Mighty Midgets, Disco, and Shawshank. Is that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Brian is out. Tree's out. Yeah. Isotopes, Bears, Dub C is 3. Disco and Mighty Midgets, that's 5. Brian is out. Josh is still in. So, yeah. Wait. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Why am I only getting 6? Detling's out. Tree is out. Brian is out. Justin is out. Jimmy is out. I don't want to know what's going on. But anyway, those are the teams that are still alive. I guess, yeah, 6. There would only be 6 out, because 6. I told you before. I told you right off the bat. I'm losing track of what week it is. So there's 6 out, so there should be only 6 left. Yeah. All right. Whatever. Anyway, is there anything else I really needs to mention this week? Let's take a quick gander at week 7. We've got the Shawshank Athletics. So we've got a bunch of teams here. We're halfway through the season. So it's, I think, getting to be safe to say that we've got 3 teams kind of pulling away from the rest, from the pack here. Isotopes, Gags to Riches, and Disco. Possum, FC Bahoric, and the White Wolf on the other end of the spectrum. Looks like they're kind of falling off. There's going to be a struggle for them to climb back up, but we'll see what happens. But then we're pretty much everything's kind of muddled in the middle there, as it usually is. As we've got, let's see, between 4th place and 9th place, only 2 games separating you there, with 4 of those teams all being 3-3. So it's going to be, so we've kind of got, I think it's kind of safe to say that 3 of the playoff spots are going to be locked up. Don't want to get ahead of myself, of course, but I think we're getting to the point where we can consider that 3 of them are going to be already occupied, which leaves 3 spaces for 6 or 7 other teams, like 6 other teams fighting for 3 spots. Although, let's see, Possum, FC Bahorik, who knows what could happen with them. But as of right now, so I never want to say never, but we've kind of got 6, so we've got 6 teams fighting for 3 spots. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here, how the rest of the season plays out. Who knows? Let's take a quick look at week 7. Said we've got Shawshank trying to knock off the Isotopes, give them their first loss of the year. We'll see what happens there. Let's see. White Wolf going up against Space Antelope. And I think I was looking at the lineups before, and with bye weeks and injuries, said Space Antelope might be thanking his lucky stars this week, because it's with bye weeks and injuries, unless the White Wolf makes some moves here, it's going to look like it looks like he is going to be barely able to even cobble together a starting lineup. I just, you can't help but feel awful about it. But so that might help Space Antelope with his attempts to climb back up into the playoff hunt there. Disco versus Bad Luck Bears. That'll be a good matchup, as the Bad Luck Bears said he's kind of hit a losing streak. Him and the Mighty Midgets fallen off these last 2 weeks. They'll be looking to bounce back and maybe give Disco his second loss. Let's see. FC Bahorik versus Possum Magic. Both of these teams are 1-5. So one of you is going to get your 6th loss of the year, which is putting you basically on playoff life support. So one of you, it's going to happen. The projections are pretty close. We'll see what happens there. Hillbillies versus Dub-C. Hillbillies versus Hooligans, I guess I should say. Dub-C, PCP, Hooligans versus Hillbillies, however you want to phrase it. Said Hillbillies sneaking up to 4-2 there. Dub-C trying to break away from the pack. He's one of the 3-3s, trying to knock off Hillbillies, who's on a couple game win streak there. We'll see what happens. Should be a good matchup. And then also another great matchup, Gags to Riches versus Mighty Midgets. Midgets will be getting Chimera back. We'll see what happens with that. How they divide up the carries there. See if Chimera does a little bit more than he did. I think he had a knee injury, so they were kind of nursing him back before the bye week there. We'll see what happens whenever they come back this week. But again, Mighty Midgets, he has lost 2 in a row. He's needing to bounce back, get a win here. He doesn't want to fall below 500 there. Meanwhile, Gags to Riches has been very quietly on a 5-game win streak. No, it said, I think I mentioned this last week, no one's really talking about Gags' team. Maybe because he's made no blockbuster trades or anything. He's been pretty quiet transaction-wise this year. But yeah, he is actually moved up to 2nd place every week, quietly moving his way up a little bit further. And so yeah, said Gags to Riches, Mighty Midgets should be a great matchup to watch. Disco versus the Bears should be good to watch. Said Dub-C, you really need this one versus Hillbillies. Hillbillies, if they can get a win this week, they'll be one step closer to that number 7 and maybe on their way to a playoff spot. And said Shawshank, he's also one of those 3-3s. He's looking to stay alive. He needs to get a win, and he'll be trying to give the Isotopes their first loss. So it'll definitely be some good matchups this week. Fun to watch. Hopefully, we don't have any devastating injuries. Everybody's team lives up to their full expectations, and we have a great week. So I think the podcast should be back this week. We'll look forward to hearing. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about Detling's trip. maybe more than might end up hearing more about that than football. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, like I said, it appears that Space Antelope is cragging their way through the season. Not saying that they're going to make a title. They might sneak into the playoffs and make a title run. Who knows? But at least you're at a point where you kind of know how it feels to. You always, a lot of times in the podcast, he's complaining about his team and blah blah blah, and woe is me, and all this and all this and all that. Well, you're kind of in that spot this year. So the way that it's playing out, so it's going to be interesting to see. You always wanted to just be. Why can't it just be easy? Why can't I just cruise through the regular season? And like that's kind of happening for me this year, and it feels weird. Like I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop and bad stuff to start happening just every week. I'm just waiting for it to happen. So we'll see what happens. Because we're halfway through the regular season already. It's going to be a fun run to the playoffs. Going to be a great year, I think, the rest of the way. Looking forward to seeing how it shakes out and what happens here. So, all right, we'll give it up to the podcasters now. We'll see you guys back here next week. Good luck to everyone. Hopefully, no injuries and your teams outdo all of their expectations. And yeah, we'll see you back here again next week. All right, thanks, guys.